Welcome back. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing the Chicago Bears 3-round mock draft. And so we did this mock draft before the Senior Bowl, and so this is the final division that we're doing. Our next series is we are going to be doing a 7-round mock draft. So be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Get notified when those videos come out. Ryan, let's pull off the slides here. Let's. I just want to quickly orient you a little bit. And so the name in bold that is obviously the Chicago Bears pick. We on future slides that you'll see. There will be picks before and after, just kind of give some context on who was taken and then who was still available that the Bears passed up on. But on this slide, they have the number 1 overall pick here. And I think, and Ryan and I, we've talked a lot about this on this channel, really until said otherwise, or at least until past the combine. I think we're just going to be a consistent Caleb Williams number 1, Drake May number 2. We were even talking a little bit before about what New England could do. You're as a Patriots fan, I think there are some unique options. But for Chicago right now, until they make a trade, or trade Justin Fields or trade back.
Yeah.
If they trade back, that's going to be a clear indication to me on their goals moving forward. But
yeah,
I think Caleb Williams is such an amazing talent. I know there's some stuff going around with off the field things as of right now, and that's why he might fall. We've seen that so many times with other players. I think people are being nitpicky maybe around now. I don't know the guy, but he is one hell of a player, and he's super fun to watch at USC. He was on an absolutely atrocious team this year, and he made them relevant. So I think he's got all the tools to be a great quarterback in the NFL. What do you see from Caleb Williams, Ryan, that puts him over Drake May?
So, everyone's kind of comparing Caleb Williams to like the Trevor Lawrences, like the Joe Burrow. I think those two guys as prospects maybe are like.
Are you talking about on a prospect level?
Yeah, on a prospect level.
Okay.
Are I would probably rank them above Caleb Williams as a prospect. But I think when you look at the ceiling of Caleb Williams and like what he could bring to the table, he has the potential to be better than those guys could ever be. Just with his playmaking ability, he has arm talent that really we have only ever seen in one quarterback, and that's Patrick Mahomes. And just his ability to create. I will say on tape there are some concerns. There are times where he is set up in structure to make like just easy plays and just completely ignores it and is constantly looking for the home run ball. Now, to be fair, he was playing home run ball at a very high level, and he does it very, very well. So
I think also to add on to the fairness, I think he had 0.5 seconds of protection.
Yeah,
so
there are plays on tape where like he just kind of is like, nah, screw the slant route. I'm gonna hold the ball for 5 seconds and see what opens up down the field. Like, and he has the protection to do it. He just doesn't like do it. But again, he did that at such a high level that like it was kind of like, well, he would just make up for it by hitting a 50-yard touchdown. Like, and so there is some give and take there. I also know like personality off the field, there have been some questions. I'm not saying anything like his teammates may not like him. But like his dad has serious LeVar Ball vibes, and kind of bringing in that aspect to your organization. I think like that is definitely something I think to consider.
That's so much though to me when I hear that stuff. That's so much like trying to predict the future and trying to nitpick everything. And maybe it's right, maybe it's not. I don't know. I know people. Oh God.
From somebody who's like not around this guy at all and like really is only hearing kind of like what is portrayed in the media about Caleb Williams and like his father and kind of like some of the things that are said behind closed doors, that is like where I'm like teams probably need to do research on that, because if that is a problem, like that's a problem for the whole locker room.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's stuff that they're already going to be digging through. And I mean, shoot, it's every draft. There's stuff like this that goes on, and so I personally, I know, I think I forgot which game it was, but where I think maybe it was the Oregon game, but where he lost, and I think it was kind of like the sign, like okay, his time at USC was done, and there's the moment of him with his family. It just like a sad moment, and to me, he got heat for that. And I'm like, man, he just cares. That's what I see about it. I don't know about the other office stuff. I would want that in my quarterback who was like, I want to win at all costs, and this means in like the whole world.
Yeah,
That's how I interpreted it.
I'm not faulting him at all for the crying
Yeah.
thing. I know people are like, "Oh, he cries, what a baby!" Like I'm not like that.
Shit, I'm a Falcons fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask me about the Super Bowl.
Well, but again, like I'm not faulting him for that. I'm just saying like there are some legitimate like I think personality off the field concerns just with him that teams need to do research on. Because again, I'm not on the ground. I only see what is kind of portrayed in the media by these stations. So with that being said, I will say Caleb Williams, arm talent wise and ceiling, probably one of the best prospects we've ever seen. And I think if you're Chicago, Justin Fields in year 3 has really he has improved, but he has yet to make the leap to I think a top 10 quarterback consistently. And that is where it's like, okay, do you reset the rookie clock with this uber talented young quarterback here who you really only get the chance to draft once in 100 years? Or do you stick with the consistent or stick with the somewhat consistent guy that you've been rolling with for the past 3 years who may or may not ever eventually fully figure it out? And that's kind of the debate here. So I do think if they do decide to keep him or if they draft Caleb Williams, we will know pretty soon after the combine because I think they will make a trade either way, whether it's for the first overall pick or for Justin Fields before the draft. I don't think they're going to wait and be like, all right, guys, we got 10 minutes on the clock. Who wants Justin Fields? Like we're not that's not the type of game that they're playing. And I think if they wait till after they draft Caleb Williams, then it's like, okay, well now you have these two quarterbacks. You have to get rid of Justin Fields. So the value goes way down. Yeah. So that for me, I think is probably the path that they will go here with Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I do think if they trade down, I do believe it will be within the top 3. Yeah. Just because then that means then they get Marvin Harrison Jr. And if you're going to go Justin Fields, you're going to want to get arguably probably the best prospect, I would think, which would be Marvin Harrison
Jr. Yeah.
So let's move on though to the next pick here. Speaking of trade backs, we did do a trade with them with the Chicago Bears and Las Vegas. Las Vegas traded up and got Olu Fashanu as well. I talked about the trade here in a second. But for this pick 13, and I'm going with Nate Wiggins here. There are so many different routes that we felt that they could have gone. They could have gone edge rusher at 9, and they could have gone edge rusher here at Jared Verse or Dallas Turner. They're taking out the board. So Leatu Latu is available. Jersey Newton is there also. So maybe even if they want to go receiver, go get Brian Thomas as well. A lot of other different ways that they can go. That's kind of one of the reasons why we thought trading back, they still go get more draft capital as well. And so then they still get an amazing player in Nate Wiggins. There's also, they could have gotten any other cornerback as well. This was the first cornerback taken off the board here. So
yeah,
it's definitely an area I think that they need to improve on. Tyreek Stevenson, I think has really improved. The pass rush, the defensive line has improved a lot. I think they can still get a little bit better in the secondary, which is why I go get the number 1 corner in this class. But there's so many different ways I think they can go with the second pick. And I will also too want to just the trade. I don't know if I like the trade now that we did it. I almost think that they would stay at 9, or if they were going to trade back, they'd maybe trade back a little bit farther and get a little more draft capital, maybe even like a first of next year. Like, for example, let's say Brock Bowers falls and Cincinnati wants to go up and get him, that they would get a first of next year for that. And then just continue that train of just multiple first round picks to keep getting talent. That's just like just a potential idea. Because at 9, and sorry, I'll say at 9, you're gonna have the option of the best defensive player available
on the board. Yeah, you could get either of these edge rushers who, in reality, like are top tier edge rushing prospects, right? And I really like Nate Wiggins, but I think if you add Jared Verse across from Montez Sweat, or even Dallas Turner, who I think is like the more traditional like outside linebacker edge rusher, whereas Jared Verse is a little bit more of like a true defensive end. I think that would be a fantastic addition to an already good front seven. I will say this secondary probably will need a little bit of help. And Nate Wiggins, to me, is the most athletic, highest upside corner. Definitely needs, I think, a little bit more refinement. Can get a little handsy and grabby when he gets beat, just like from poor technique. But again, those are all things that are going to improve. He's a young player, and I really do like Nate Wiggins if they do decide to go the cornerback route. So
no, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with the prospect here. It was more
yeah.
our thought process of going into it, where I think that potentially could change as well. And so
Also, so not to give anything away, so with the pick of Caleb Williams, we did end up trading him to the Falcons for a second round pick, which I believe is this pick,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Uh,
and the trade I
it
think it was like a second and a day 3 pick or something like that.
Yeah, and then also with that trade back, we had them acquire another second round pick as well. And so here, Xavier Worthy, I think you have DJ Moore. You missed out on Marvin Harrison Jr. Xavier Worthy, I think, would be a really great like gadget piece. Darnell Mooney is a free agent, and I think Xavier Worthy could kind of slot right in to be that guy that you would want him to be. Like right in his rookie season, he's a really talented wide receiver. He has good feet. His hands, I think, need some work, but I think as he gets older and stronger, that'll be something that kind of continues to progress as his career goes on.
Yeah, no, he's a guy. You have Darnell Mooney, Trent Taylor, and
Darnell Mooney's a free agent, and I don't know if
No,
they'll
I
bring
know.
him back.
Equinemius St. Brown, all those guys are free agents, so you are going to need to start rebuilding the receiving room in general, because only as of right now, Tyler Scott and then Velus Jones Jr. are the receivers that you have on board. So I think, as you said, Xavier Worthy, I think he can fit in that slot position, but also you can move him around, and with a speedster like Tyler Scott as well. I think both those guys are great compliments to DJ Moore. And then even then too, you go look at that offense now. You got a much improved offensive line. You're gonna have Caleb Williams. You're gonna have a great backfield. Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson. If they want to bring back Deontay Foreman, they can do that as well. But still, I think even just Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson, that's a good running back room. Then you'd go have DJ Moore led receiving room and Cole Kmet at tight end. That's a top 10 offense right there. I think
With
at minimum.
with the number one rushing defense in the NFL, and I would say a young secondary with a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah. So I like the so far I like this route. Also, then too, as a Falcons fan, that means we would get Justin Fields and our quarterback problems are solved, hopefully. So
yeah,
but
hopefully.
let's move on though now to the third round pick, and so the 2 third-round picks. Before we break down these, if you're still with us, thank you, welcome. I know it's at 12 minutes in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We have our 7-round mock draft coming up here soon, and we're gonna have more Bears specific content when it comes to just what we think the Bears should be doing. That should be coming up here within the next week or so. So be sure to ring that bell and subscribe. Ended up then going now that they had the 2 third-round picks that were essentially back-to-back, thanks to the Las Vegas trade earlier in our mock draft. Did have them double dipping again with Jermaine Burton at the receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep building that receiving room. A good receiver out of Alabama. Then also had them go with Mekhi Wingo as well, build up a little bit on the defensive interior, help out Montez Sweat and company. So with them trading back at Nate Wiggins in the secondary, I do like that in this theory. I think that they did a good job addressing a lot of their key areas overall. Receiving room, address the quarterback position, but also then got 2 great players, I think, on the defensive side of the ball for their overall value. That I think immediately all these guys are contending for starting positions.
Yeah, I mean, Mekhi Wingo, so they took Gervin Dexter and Zach Pickens last year. I think Mekhi Wingo is a defensive tackle kind of that mold, and I think he would be a really good rotational piece, kind of that undersized defensive tackle, but in that system, he's going to be put in situations where he's going to have a lot of one-on-one matchups. He's going to be able to be aggressive, kind of play downfield and get after running backs and quarterbacks in the backfield, and I think that would be a really good fit for them. Jermaine Burton, to me, him and Ricky Pearsall, the guy drafted by Atlanta right before this, are very similar, right? They're just good football players, right? They're good athletes. They have good hands. They run good routes, right? There's nothing like super duper enticing about their game. Like they're not the Marvin Harrison Juniors where they're the 6'4", 215, super explosive, like run extremely precise routes, right? But they're not like these completely developmental projects. Like they can come in and play a fairly significant role in your offense at day one and then potentially develop into something a little bit like more throughout their career, maybe like a Robert Woods type guy that can come in and just be a reliable receiver for your offense. So I really like both of these picks. Just to kind of wrap things up here, this video is going a little bit longer. So first overall pick, this channel is going to be in line with the Caleb Williams strategy, like until heard otherwise. At 9, we have them trading back and acquiring a 3rd-round pick and the 13th pick, where they take Nate Wiggins. They do trade Justin Fields to the Atlanta Falcons for the 43rd pick and draft Xavier Worthy. And then at 75, they draft Jermaine Burton. And at 77, just a couple picks later, they draft Mekhi Wingo. All in all, this draft, I think, would set the Bears up to really be a contender in 2024. I think we look at some of these additions that they're making, kind of some of the additions that they've already made to their coaching staff. I really like where this would put them, and I think this would put them in line to compete for the division with just how good that defense has been. This offense, I think, took major strides there in the second half of the season. You would be resetting that a little bit with the draft of Caleb Williams, or with picking Caleb Williams, but sometimes you have to go a step backwards to go 2 steps forwards, and I think that would be some big steps if Caleb Williams is a hit. So.
Yeah, I think some people would make the argument that it's not even a step backwards. So,
true, it
in
might
general,
be a lateral step.
Yeah, or a step forward. So,
yeah,
but I like this draft a lot. Honestly, I'm just looking at the Bears roster right now, and there's not they're ready to win. We saw them perform well in the second half. Also, too, if you just go look at their schedule. Or their results, especially. There are so many games too that they almost had or that they should have won. Like the Browns game, just for example. So I think that they are. I think they're right there, and so that's where I think it even makes it even more intriguing with Justin Fields and what the decision is going to be. But I think if you go look at Caleb Williams, it's kind of why we're on this channel until said otherwise. He's just that generational talent, and I think right now he's already on par with Justin Fields, and Fields. I think he's getting close to his ceiling. I think he needs to be in the right system for him to reach it. Caleb Williams, I think his ceiling is exponentially higher than Justin Fields. Yeah. And so that's why I think you pick him now, have that growth, because go look at it. So this offense is super young. Defense is also fairly young as well. The defensive line are solid veterans. Very solid veterans, actually. So I like that route. I think it's going to be extremely interesting to watch, see what they do.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Chicago Bears 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you do differently? Other than that, we will see you guys next time.